Hello everyone and welcome to the CW podcast. If you couldn't tell, you might over the course of this podcast. I am recovering from being a bit ill. I won't lie to you. That's the reason why content is probably going to be a bit delayed. I'll get on to that in a second. But welcome everyone to the podcast. Hope you're all doing well. Quite a bit to unpack before we get into the podcast. I like to use this as sort of like an update thing as well. So, for those of you that are interested in that, I appreciate you. Like I said, I've been ill. I'm not like ill anymore. I've not been feeling ill for probably like a week plus now. But, you can still hear it on my voice. My ears haven't fully popped yet either. It's a very bad, I'd argue, probably like a head cold kind of deal. So I'm still dealing with like the last few things of that. So if content is a little bit flaky for the next, like, I'd argue, I'm recording this on the 4th of February. If content's a bit flaky for the next couple weeks, I do apologize. We have a few videos lined up that I did prior. You've probably already seen one of them today, which will have been the EPW build-up. I'm working on the Sacrifice commentary slowly, but I can't do commentary for too long because it's killing me a little bit to do so. So the goals for February are to get EPW Sacrifice out, to at least get Mayhem and Explosion Episode 5, and potentially the first episode of Wednesday Night Warzone on the channel. We've had a few on the Discord, but now is the time to edit it all and actually make it something. I'd also like to say I would already be working on Mayhem and Explosion 6, 7, 8, and hopefully by March I would like to have Fight Forever out. But I don't think that's probably the case. I think right now you're probably looking at Fight Forever in April, but I wouldn't even I wouldn't even bet on that, unfortunately. It will be out when it's out. Because again, there's some things I've got to work around, and there's some people I've got to talk to, and yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, interesting to see what goes down, and yeah, that's really the update section. I don't want to waste too much of your time. I know you guys are interested in the podcast and the question, but that will be at the end of the podcast, because we have more of me talking about 2K23. So, as of recording, we know the cover star, we've seen a bit of gameplay, things are crazy, but I'm still not getting the game. I'm still on the fence of well, not even the fence, I'm still on the stance of I am not buying 2K23. Do I think it looks okay? Yeah, it looks like 2K22. That's fine. If, I'm not out here looking at graphics. Graphics don't matter to me. What matters to me is how much different, how different is this game? What new features have they added that's worth spending at least £60 on? Because I think the base game is like 60. The deluxe edition is like 85, and the icon edition is £105. So it's a lot of money, and with me doing technically university stuff, me looking at going to university this year and also next year to finish off my degree, to get my degree in filmmaking, I've got to be a lot more conscious on money, and I can't just throw around either 60 to £105 on a game that I could just continue doing stuff on the previous version. Do I think it looks promising? Will I potentially get it at a discount at some point? Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, it really just all depends on if I'm feeling it at the time, and if I have the money. I'm not trying to be negative every time I talk about 2K23. I'm at the point now where I will say my opinion, but I won't rag on it for too long. I will just kind of say I'm not feeling it, and, it is what it is. I hope that for the people that do purchase the game, I hope it works for you. And I hope that you, I hope that it works. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on the stuff that's come out for 2K23. It does look promising, but I'm still not buying it. So now we move on to the big question. I asked you guys on the community tab, and I also asked my peeps on Discord, what matters more to you as bookers, wrestlers, well, in this wild world of virtual wrestling that we do, as wrestlers, as bookers, and as viewers, what matters most to you? Storylines or wins and losses? And you know what? I was expecting the response that I got. So on the YouTube poll, we got 4 votes, and 100% of the people said storytelling, which I kind of expected. Looking at my audience is very heavily viewers, not necessarily people who are a part of the show. That's just by design. That's something that I kind of pride myself on, on doing. I would love to say that I would love to have people on the show a lot of the time, but I don't know. It's something that maybe I'll discuss in a podcast at some point as to why I don't necessarily basically add everyone that watches the channel. It's an interesting thing. It's a lot of factors, and like I said, if you guys want to hear that, if you want my full-blown explanation as to why I don't add everybody to CEW, feel free to just let me know. So you're probably wondering, what is my opinion on this? And I'll say it, I lean more towards storytelling as a booker, as someone that does core outside of CEW, and as a viewer. But I do believe that they are not exclusive. I don't think that they're separate entities. I do believe that you can tell good stories and still gun for wins. To me, I'm going to use the example of Braxton Myers. Now, Braxton was 15-0 when he lost his first matchup to Blake Payne at Down in Flames, and that wasn't even clean. I thought about it for a long time about whether or not I was going to have Braxton's next feud be Jacob Campbell, because I knew I wanted to have Jacob Campbell go over Braxton, but I didn't know if I wanted to do that right after his loss to Blake. And I thought about it for a bit, and I was like, Braxton's 15-1. He's the longest reigning world's heavyweight champion, and at that time, he was also the longest reigning champion, I believe, in CEW history when I brought him back and started the feud. And I was like, his only loss has been because of Jacob. So I was like, that's fine. That's honestly fine. And again, I thought about it for a while. I was like, do I do it? Do I not do it? Because the fact, like, the factors that I think about when telling a story is what has happened to the character recently. If someone has had loss after loss after loss after loss, and then you book them in a story to lose again, no one comes out of that looking really good. No one comes out of that looking how they should, I guess, is the correct answer. Or at least my thought process. They are not separate wins and losses in storytelling, but I feel like the people who refuse to take losses, you need to rethink your mindset a bit. Wrestling is art. Wrestling is, at the end of the day, you know what, I'll just straight say it. Wrestling is a television show. Wrestling is a narrative. We're not going to say control your narrative. Wrestling is a narrative. Wrestling is entertainment. And how do you get entertainment? Well, you can have brilliant matches. You can have people who gun for wins and losses. That's what divisions are for. You know, the IC division in CEW and the women's IC division, there's not that many stories being told because that's the workhorse belt. That is for people who get wins, a lot of wins, and build themselves up in a in-ring capacity. But then, that's one aspect of wrestling. The big aspect, and the thing that's going to get people to watch your show, or to get invested in characters, especially your main event players, is storytelling. I mean, look at Stanley Owens. Stanley's entire journey to the world title was him avenging the loss at Down in Flames to Jingu. Ever since that moment, Stanley was building himself up slowly. He won the X Factor briefcase, he cashed in for Kingdom of Glory, and the entire story was Blake telling him that he's not ready to be world champion. Harking back to the losses of Stanley Owens' past, questioning if Stanley Owens could actually compete at the level that Blake could. Because let's be real here, Blake is probably like one of my top guys. He's definitely like my top heel. You know, he is at that level. So that entire story revolved around losses. But then you also have stories that revolve around wins. And then you've got stories that revolve around none of that. I mean, look at Alex Blade and Max McCarthy. We didn't talk about wins and losses in that. No, we talked about the fact that Alex Blade took months off of Max McCarthy's career. Max tried coming back. Obviously, him losing in the Trial by Combat tournament was technically a part of the storyline, but it wasn't. I just added him to the list of the CEW participants because I wanted to bring him back, and it was like this big thing where it was like, was he ready, was he not? It had nothing to do with whether or not he was going to win or lose the tournament. I just wanted to do the story of, is he ready? And then, obviously, he lost to Armageddon, round 1. He wasn't ready. And then he came back a bit later, cost Alex Blade the extra championship, or sorry, the Alex Blade extra championship. And yeah, it sparked the Kingdom of Glory Hell in a Cell match. I guess what I'm trying to say, whilst rambling for ages and ages, is I'm on the side of storytelling. I think as a booker, you should always focus on where the story is. But then also as a booker, you should also look at your wins and your losses. If you're trying to build someone up to be your main event player, and they've lost like 5 of their last 6 feuds, for example, not happening. It's destined to fail. Obviously, you can build somebody up by having them win 1 or 2 feuds before gunning for the world title. That's different. But you've really gotta use both. But I feel like you should look at your wins and losses to help tell a story. That's how it should be. So yeah, I rambled for like, quite a bit of time there about wins and losses and all of that good stuff. But yeah, that's the CEW podcast. I've been Byron. I'm gonna let you guys get on with your day, and I will see you all next time.